special guest on Remodel Revolution, a very good friend of the show that we get to talk to 2 or 3 times a year about her specialty, which is wellness design. My very good friend, Jamie Gold, she is a certified kitchen designer. She is a Mayo Clinic certified wellness coach. She is a certified aging in place specialist and a best selling design book author and budding mountain climber. Good morning, Miss Jamie. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Alex. Certifiable, apparently.
Yeah, certifiable for sure. Aren't we all? This is what keeping us in our homes for a year will do, right? Make us cucaracha. Um, you have a new book,
I do,
Wellness by Design.
indeed. I
How's
was well equipped for this staying at home stuff.
Yeah? Well, you got to do something, right?
And the fact that I wrote a book that published in the midst of it just turned out to be an unusual coincidence.
Well, and of course I have a copy of the book, and Ben's going to pop it up on the screen for everybody to see real quick. There it is. And you have been doing wellness by design for how long?
My entire design career, although I didn't call it that in the beginning, but it's always been a focus of mine. So I got into design in 2004, so it's 17 years now.
You're
So
just getting started.
I know I'm a baby.
Well, we were going to talk today because you and I were chatting a couple of weeks ago, and you brought something up that I thought was fascinating, and that is wellness sanctuary. And this has become so important to all of us because our homes used to be a place that we just ate, slept, and then we were off running around. And now that's like the opposite. Now our homes are where we're spending so much more time. And it's so important and it's happening because I know I get the phone calls and you get the phone calls. Our homeowners are looking at their homes differently now and,
Absolutely.
and living in them differently. So let's talk about wellness sanctuary.
Well, as you point out, people are spending so much more time at home now, and things that they thought worked on that kind of come and go basis don't necessarily work as well when you're there all the time. And we're stressed with everything, and our homes are getting stress tests too. You know, for many people, they might have had a home office that they use for bills or emails to friends, and now they're working there full time. Maybe two people in a household are working there full time. Maybe the kids are home doing school, from the living room. Maybe you have an older relative who's also staying with you. Home and all your appliances are getting more use. Your cabinets are getting more use. So things are breaking. Things are just more crowded, more noisy. People need a sanctuary.
It's interesting because, and we may have had this discussion before, we probably have. I remember people calling me to do home offices in their houses probably 8 or 9 years ago, probably starting maybe around 10 years ago, when the internet became a lot easier to use and it really started changing the way people work from home, particularly people that travel in their job. And they
Yeah.
could have a home office, they could travel, they could come back, and they had the internet, so they didn't actually have to go into that office unless they just had to go into the office
Hmm.
if the boss calls.
Yeah.
And so this transition really started a long time ago, and then of course it's been pushed way further along with this pandemic and all of that stuff. But you've got three basic areas that we were going to talk about today for our sanctuary spaces. And the first place is the bedroom.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that.
Well, bedrooms are so essential. And if you don't get enough sleep or good quality sleep, you are not going to be as productive in your workday. You're not going to feel as good. You're not going to perform as well on the athletic side either. So I couldn't get all the way up a mountain if I didn't get a decent night's sleep the night before. And just getting through the mountain of paperwork so many people have to deal with, you need to get quality sleep. So that is often your home's primary refuge.
You know,
And
part of what I think is keeping a lot of us from sleeping, and I hear this a lot with my friends and my family, is that we have so much stuff coming at us every day, where it's just like all this information being fired at us from our phones, from our computers, from our TV. It's hard to turn your brain off, and you've got
true.
to
And a lot of
create
people
a,
will take their electronics
yeah.
into the bedroom.
Oh my gosh, no,
Then you
no,
have all the blue light,
yeah.
which is a proven sleep disruptor, as well as the stimulation. And often, you mentioned you were getting a lot of calls for home offices. How many of them were like his and hers or his and his home offices,
Mm-hmm.
where a home would now have two of them? So with people working from home during the pandemic, if they don't have a dedicated office, sometimes the bedroom is doing double duty, and that can really make sleep challenging.
Well, and I mean, we're going to do a follow up to this show about home offices because I think they're so critical now, and there's so many design considerations specifically so you can have some privacy when you're home, not in the office but out of the office, so you can be away from the office. But that's a different thing. The bedroom, of course, we've got to have a certain amount of sleep. I know, and the older I get too, the harder it is to function even on a good day's sleep. But when your brain is constantly tired and you're constantly being just bombarded with all this stuff, and you've got to be able to just turn it off for a few hours and recharge. What are some of the tips that you want us to do in our bedrooms?
Well, let's take a quick look at the sleep disruptors. We mentioned electronics. If you can, let's say you are working from home, separate that space, be able to close it off. Maybe it's a decorative screen or it's a piece of furniture that you can close the doors and not have the computer uh, facing you when you sleep, or when you're trying to get to sleep, as an example. So, electronics are one disruptor, and the blue light is part of that. And again, the intellectual stimulation. Another disruptor is noise. And one of the things that we have now is extra noise from more people doing more things at home. In the bedroom that we showed, if you could put that picture back up for a minute, I'd like to point out a couple ways that you could reduce noise in your bedroom.
He's getting there.
Pardon?
He's getting there.
Okay.
He's trying.
So again, you have a lot of noise. The easy thing you could do is to move your bed away from a shared wall.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Another thing that you could do is you could put a bookcase full of books on a shared wall. That will help reduce the noise coming through.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of standard homes, and this is from your background as a contractor, have hollow core doors. You can replace that with a solid core door, and that will also reduce noise.
Makes a huge difference. Huge difference.
And these are things you could do without a full remodel. You could also add things like large rugs and plants as noise reducers. So those will address noise. And the third factor that will often get in the way of people's sleep is light. And if you have light on the other side of the window, like where I sleep, there's a neighbor's lights on the other side of the walkway. There's a standing light. I have room darkening panels that when I close, I don't get any of that outside light in. And so
You're like me. I've got to have a dark room, man.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
I do.
I want a dark room. So
Yeah.
blackout panels, blackout shades can all help with that.
And another thing is fresh air coming in at night when you're trying to sleep is probably, I think a lot of us miss that because a lot of people have grown up, at least in our part of my part of the country, where you have to keep your windows closed. Now I grew up in a house that didn't have air conditioning, so you kept the windows open. So that's probably why I still really need a window open in my room. I need some fresh air on me to sleep, but I think that really helps me. And I think a lot of people, they haven't been raised with that. You know, they've grown up in a really sealed environment in houses. They go from a sealed up house to a sealed up office or a sealed up vehicle, and they don't get the fresh air that they need. And even if you, let's just say you don't want to sleep with the window open for whatever, maybe safety reasons, you need to get out and walk. You need to get out and get some fresh air every day,
I agree.
even
And there
without
are
being an
times when you
athlete.
can't. It's too hot and steamy, or out here you have wildfires,
Yeah,
so air
yeah,
quality's not good.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of ceiling fans.
Yeah.
Ceiling fans will give you a little bit of ambient noise, and they'll also give you more climate control.
A little bit of white noise will help you sleep. It's
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
My wife used to say it was snoring, and I said no, it's humming. Um, it's just a little love call to you, baby. Uh,
So one other sleep factor is the climate, which you're talking about.
hmm
A comfortable temperature.
Yes.
And you know from being married, you and your spouse might not have the same internal thermostat.
No, that goes against the laws of man and
Uh-huh.
woman.
So what I always recommend is layered bedding.
Oh, yeah.
So one of you can have three coverings,
Uh-huh.
the other can have one or two. If you get cool during the night or warm during the night, you could add it, and you could do it, on your side of the bed, on her side of the bed.
That's one of
Yep.
one of the first conversations I have with homeowners when they want to remodel a master bedroom. The first thing they cannot agree on is how cold or warm, or in the case of some people I know, cold and warm.
Mhm.
Let's talk
And
about let's
a
talk about
programmable
yoga.
thermostat will set the temperature when you're going to sleep. Then you could put it at a healthier temperature, which is usually cooler
hmm
while you're sleeping, and then have it warm up at your waking up time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So exercise is the next thing that
Oh
when
yeah.
you're stuck in the house, man. I mean, sometimes my exercise ends up being the easy chair and the TV, and that's not working too good.
That's not an exercise. No, and for many of us, our gyms closed last year.
hmm
Sales of fitness equipment have skyrocketed.
Yes.
I mean, whoever owns Peloton is doing a happy dance right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
some things to think about when you are creating a space, whether it's temporary or permanent, is the flooring. If you're doing anything high impact, you don't want to be coming down on a concrete floor.
Right.
So having something cushiony underfoot.
hmm
If you're bringing in any equipment, and this is a contractor, look at the specs. I mean, how much room does it need? How much room do you need to plan for yourself using it?
How heavy is it?
How heavy is it,
hmm
especially for an upper floor? Can you get it in and out of the room, for heaven's sakes?
Or is that somebody else's job?
Well, are they going to be able to get it in and out of the room when
Yeah.
you're paying for
Yeah.
delivery?
That's
So there
right.
are all kinds of considerations. I love elevating treadmills.
Hmm.
If I'm on a treadmill and I have my pack on my back, the same weight I'll be carrying up Kilimanjaro, and I'm elevating the treadmill, at the gym I don't have to worry. It's got a very high ceiling, but if I were doing it at home, is my head going to clear the ceiling fan
You really
when I
elevate
have
it.
it elevated?
You really elevate. Now, when I'm talking about elevating, I'm talking about a mild increase. Like,
Well, I'm talking like 15%.
yeah, okay,
And if you have high ceilings, no problem.
yeah,
What if somebody's in an older home and doesn't?
that's right. That's right.
Or they have the ceiling fan on a down rod.
Yeah, yeah,
You got
yeah.
talking about the whole wellness sanctuary feel,
hmm
is you can create a fitness area that also works in that way, especially if your preferred fitness is yoga, say.
hmm
I have a beautiful room in my book that you can see here. It's a yoga sanctuary.
It just
And you'll see
looks
the
so
mats there.
inviting.
You'll see
Yeah.
the iconography. Somebody can look at that and see their beautiful artwork.
hmm
They've got the shading on the windows. It is a space where you can relax, where you can stretch, enhance your flexibility, and work out if that's your preference. And you can even watch your form and do bar work.
Uh huh. Awesome. Awesome.
So
I
that's
mean,
a great, and let's say you created this wellness sanctuary. Now you have 4 people in the house who didn't live there before the pandemic. It could be a nice little quiet refuge for you too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A necessary refuge from
Oh
time to
yes,
time. Yeah.
absolutely.
So the living area is, of course, where everybody's going to gather.
Hmm.
And it is essential that everybody can fit in there comfortably. Everybody can hear good, hear the TV, see the TV if that's what they're doing, play games, whatever it is. Give us some tips on the living area in this series.
Well, the living area is really your comfort and joy space. And comfort and joy is the fifth facet of wellness design. So this living room that's also in the book hits it on a few different levels. You have artwork, and artwork is very personal. So you can look at a piece and it will remind you of a happy place, a happy person, a happy time, or you just love that work. You have plants here, which create a warm, welcoming feeling in a home. You, of course, have the fireplace, and for a lot of people, that's a comfort element. It does need to be professionally maintained, though. That's something that sometimes people skip out on.
Mm-hmm.
At the other end of the room, you have a window seat, which is ideal for just quiet sanctuary time looking out at nature.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all the books that can take you to other places without going anywhere. So, this is a space that functions as a gathering room if you wanted to, but it can also be a quiet sanctuary just to enjoy your art, yourself, thought, decompressing, looking at nature, all of that. So that room succeeds as a wellness sanctuary on that level.
I wanted to, after I looked at that picture, talk to you a minute about houseplants. But I
Mhm.
have found that I am at whole different level of ease when I have green plants around me, particularly inside, but even on my deck. I
Mhm.
just love having. They're like friends. They're
They are. They are.
and that's how I treat them.
Mhm.
Give us some tell us about that with wellness design.
Well, plants again create that welcoming, friendly feel in a space. And they also can, at some level, improve your indoor air quality.
Mm-hmm.
And they give you a connection to nature that researchers have shown has very healthy benefits. It's a part of what's called biophilia, which is literally the love of living nature.
Hmm.
And so they did a study of hospital patients, and when they could look out at a space that had nature in it, trees and plants, they recovered faster with fewer pain meds
Wow.
than people who looked out at a wall.
Huh.
That's something you could take into your own home, even if you're not recuperating from any medical condition, just for the de-stressing benefits, for the restorative benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned before, step outside if you can.
Mm-hmm.
If it's safe and healthy to do so, take a nature break. If you can't, then sit at one of those window seats or orient your work from home space so you have a window where you can look out on nature. When I lived in Florida, I used to love sitting on my patio and looking at the birds on the pond.
Mm-hmm.
And here in San Diego, I don't have a pond. So on my patio, which does have plants and which I look at from my office, I have 2 bird pillows. So I look out at chairs with the bird pillows, and it takes me back to those days looking out at the birds on the pond.
That's
That
awesome.
too is
Yeah.
representational biophilia, where you're bringing in the forms of nature.
Very interesting.
So,
I,
yeah.
I I feed the birds, and I have birds, and I have possums, and I have all kinds of stuff. And for me, that keeps me grounded and with the plants. But I've got to have that nature around me. I'm one of those people has to have it. And
Well,
you, my lady, are amazing. You're as I was telling you earlier, you're a mountain climber in many ways. And I'm so glad you could take the time to be with us today. This has been such a fun discussion. You're amazing, and we're going to put your book back up on the screen real quick. and everybody, you need tell everybody where to go and find Wellness by Design.
Well, the easy place is to go to my website at jamiegold.net, and you'll see links to Amazon or my publisher's page, which has independent bookstore links and other bookstores. So you can find it anywhere that you enjoy buying books. And I do ask, if you get the book and you like the book, one, in the back is a place where you can go for additional resources. So if you want to find checklists, if you want to find research on what plants enhance indoor air quality, what plants are harmful to your pets, you can go to a special link that's mentioned in the book. And if you like it, please write a review in the favorite place that you buy books or on Goodreads. Those are super helpful in helping other people get healthier at home too.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much, Alex, for having me back. I
Well,
really appreciate it.
always love having you. And I've got, of course, I have a copy of your book. I forgot to bring it with me today, and I've started reading it, and I'm enjoying it very, very much. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Jamie Gold, designer. She has got all of the credentials you could need or want, and you can find her at jamiegold.net. Have a
Mhm.
wonderful day, Jamie. Thank
You
you.
too, Alex. Stay well.